Tales from the backlog. What have I been playing recently? These past 2 months have been pretty eventful on the backlog clearance front, so join me as I recap my last 7 games played. This is part of an ongoing series, so if you want to check out the other entries, you won't have to look too hard to find them. A generous gift from my close friend who absolutely loved this game. Now, whilst I did make a dedicated video inspired by this title, I didn't actually go over my thoughts on the game itself. So is it good? Did I have fun? Am I satisfied as a historical Potterhead? And yes, to all of that. This game is super familiar for any seasoned gamer like myself. The appeal here doesn't lie in originality. It's all very textbook, generic, open world fantasy stuff, but the sheer charm and entice of the Wizarding world is enough to make the 50+ hour campaign worthwhile. The IP is handled with a genuine love and care despite the jankiness that persists throughout. I will say things started off a bit rough for me though, but once I got into the swing of things, I was quite literally living in Hogwarts. By the end, I do feel this game dragged a bit. Maybe, it overstayed its narrative welcome, although I'm sure for many others they'd want an additional 500 hours. All I could hope for in a sequel, besides the obvious Quidditch and animagus inclusions, is just a general quality of life improvement. That stuff can go a long way and can be the distinction between a good game and a great one. Also, for a game based on an IP regarded highly within the world of literature, the story here is kinda weak. I did make a full video on this game and every other entry in the Insomniac Spider-Man series, so I'll keep this one brief, but as far as sequels go, I don't envy the uphill battle this game had. The cultural U-turn on Spider-Man 2 Online is expected, but the weaponization of this game and the culture war against wokeness in gaming is beyond pathetic. I loved this game. This feels like a true AAA experience through and through. It feels like a major event as you're playing it, and it fundamentally improves on so much from the previous games, which were already near perfect experiences for me. I will note the second half isn't as strong as the first, and the lack of DLC does sour my overall experience with the game, and I'm not feeling as much replay value towards this title compared to Spider-Man 2018 as of right now, but my hype levels for Spider-Man 3 remain at an all-time high. This was great. I do consider myself a Borderlands enthusiast, but nowhere near the level of dedicated I was when listening to 4-hour-long lore dumps on YouTube whilst going through Assault on Dragon's Keep many years ago. The formula is good enough to still be enjoyable today, but like they attempted here with Wonderland, sometimes you just need to shake up the fundamentals and create a nice change of pace. I was not having a great time out the gate with Tiny Tina, but even then the love letter to D&D, the fantasy setting, the revamped overworld, the character creator and classes, plus the new emphasis on melee combat all appealed to me greatly. And though I did kinda zone out on the story whilst playing the odd quest here and there, it would actually capture my attention with something oddly captivating from time to time. Not frequently, but enough. I did have fun playing this game, but it will ultimately rank on the lower end of my pending Borderlands tier list. Now this is what I'm talking about. I grabbed the Mafia trilogy on a whim after liking what I saw of the Old Country at an award show, but never did it cross my mind how immersed I was about to be in this epic, classic crime saga. I heard it was short and expected a lesser GTA, but what I got was some of the best storytelling I had ever experienced in the medium. Characters and a world that felt alive and lived in. This game was so linear in the best way possible. I felt like I was quite literally along for the ride, and this journey spans many years, like it's truly an epic. Think greatest hits, Goodfellas meets The Godfather and all of that and some. In games like GTA or Red Dead, things can get so spectacle heavy that the impact of what's actually going on is lost on you. Mafia uses restraint to its advantage. Things almost start off mundane and then you get a little sprinkle of chaos throughout the earlier sections, but all of that only makes the impending madness later on all the more impactful. I played this game on the Steamdeck, which for some reason has no button prompts unless you play in desktop mode, so I kinda just had to play the guest game for a while, eating punches whilst trying to remember the parry buttons. Childhood classic. I spoke a bit about this one in my Steam Deck original Xbox video, but I used to play X-Men Legends as a kid at my local internet cafe, and just having a top-down view hero RPG like this on novelty alone entices me. I was in an X-Men mood, and it was actually X-Men 97 that made me want to rotate between Cyclops, Nightcrawler and Storm, so I booted it up on the old Steam Deck, and wow. This game is hard. No beating around the bush. If you don't level up stuff properly, you can lock yourself into a near unwinnable situation with some of these early dungeons. Health is kinda rare, funds aren't super common, and this game will punish you. I experienced this especially during the earlier sections of the game, but with the advantage of save scumming, I was able to basically cheese my way into building a decent squad, which would hard carry me up until the final boss, which I found painfully unfun to fight. That might sound negative, but there was appeal to this super dated experience for me. Outside of the bright Gen 6 colors or the classic X-Men cartoon caliber plot, I just really liked playing as these characters. This is one of those games I enjoyed but couldn't honestly recommend to anyone without fair warning. That being said, Legends 2 is installed and waiting right now. It's been a while, but I was able to finally dust off my headset and play through a couple VR titles after a break from the virtual world, and I chose Metal Hellsinger as my comeback anthem, mainly because I actually recall enjoying what I had already played of this game, but also the studio had just closed down and I wanted to pay my respects. I have little to no experience when it comes to rhythm games, but I would consider myself a pretty musical person, and I love heavy metal. I also love a good Doom-like. This game doesn't disappoint on the demon slaying front. I was having a blast just going through these levels, really getting into it, and even upon rolling credits, I found myself replaying a bunch of the missions. As a VR game, it didn't really do much for me, but just as an action-packed rhythm title, I was really enjoying this once I found the beat. There is a story here and it's fine, but really and truly the star of the show is the god tier soundtrack. Keeping with VR, I have a love-hate relationship with this sweat machine roguelike mech fighter. This was actually one of the earliest purchases I made on my VR headset, and at the time that I got the game, I didn't know it was a roguelike, and that feature alone would have probably swayed me away from it, which it did for a while. I beat the first boss and didn't touch this game for months, and upon giving it another try, I was killed immediately and lost all my stuff. This is my main issue with roguelikes. I just hate the feeling of lost progression. It's like deleting my save file, and this aspect of the game completely dominated my mindscape regarding it for a while, which is why I stopped even thinking about beating it and just try to have some fun. Because this game is a lot of fun, genuinely some of the best combat VR mechanics I've experienced yet, and the level of creativity and how you can approach combat here is amazing. Once I was able to just get into it and appreciate the game for what it was, I found the fun, and with that I found victory. After many failed runs of struggle, I finally beat the first boss again, and then the second, and alas, the final boss was defeated. Now the real fun begins. But that's it for what I crossed off the backlog these past few months. Typically it takes me a lot longer to get through 7 games, but I guess I'm on a bit of a gaming high at the moment. Nevertheless, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for 500 subscribers. This has been the Game Burrow, and adios.